If you're anything like me, you find that free time as a Tulane student is an elusive concept. Between writing papers, studying for tests, Thursdays at the Boot, Fridays at the Quad, Saints games, and the always tempting New Orleans nightlife, I find that I'm always doing something. When I first came to New Orleans, I came here to get away from the boring college life I had experienced in Waco, Texas, a place the word boring was invented to describe. In Waco, I had lots of free time, enough time to get involved in the community and do the public service work that had pretty well occupied my high school years. At Tulane, though, I was here for the college experience. It wasn't until this last year that as a transfer student, I found out about service learning. Public service became a necessary part of my education, and when I found out what the service project would be, I'll admit, I was a bit nervous. I would be spending the semester working with participants at the Arc of Greater New Orleans. The orientation did not ease my fears. I was uncertain as to what the level of intellectual disability I would be dealing with was, and whether or not 3 years as a history major qualified me to handle extreme disability. I went home, still nervous about my service work, but ready for my first day. At the end of my first day, the operations director at the ARC described my first day as, quote, the perfect storm, and assured me that it was all downhill from there. My morning began with Brenda, the most intellectually disabled participant at the ARC, latching on to me and crying for 2 hours until she could communicate that she wanted to play in a computer chair. Then I met John. John's about my height, and at first glance he can be a bit intimidating. He walked right up to me, got into my personal space, and asked me if I thought he was, quote, retarded. I responded with a quick, no, I think you're just a nice guy. And he backed down and said, hey, you're alright. Then came Paul. Paul asked if I remembered him. Then started a terribly awkward conversation about how he's all alone in the world. And his conversation was fraught with stories of morbidity. The whole time the staff stared at me, watching my reactions, with the look of horror that a parent has when a child acts out in front of other adults. The day ended with Brenda latching onto me again, and me and another person carrying her to the van, with her screaming all the way. The director was mortified. She said I could take the rest of the week off until they figured out how to handle Brenda. But I decided to come back the next day. For me, that was a great decision. Every day at the ARC, I learned more. Not only the names of each participant, but their individual idiosyncrasies. For example, Paul loves to talk about dead musicians, and knows the words, artist, album, and year of every song he's ever heard. And he loves to talk about and listen to music. Reggie loves technology, and is a savant at checkers. We became close friends throughout the semester, and he often talks to me on Facebook, or texts me when I'm not there exactly on time. Lawrence likes to paint, and loves to do anything craft related. Carol likes necklaces, and wears a different one each day. Her favorite things to talk about include cooking, specifically Rachel Ray. Theo likes to dance. He also loves any kind of music, and is the self-proclaimed sassy participant at the ARC. He often tells jokes, and is always the life of the party. Then there's Donna. Donna calls everyone sir, even if you're not a guy. And her favorite things to do are yoga and making Mardi Gras bead art. Then there's Chuck. Chuck loves Tulane. He had 3 sisters and 2 brothers that went to Newcomb Tulane, and he wears a Tulane shirt and hat every day. So naturally, finding another Tulane fan after a 2-win season, we were instantly best friends. Then there's Anthony. Though his communication is limited, he loves to talk about the bold and the beautiful. I occasionally read recaps of the show, so we'll have something to talk about, because according to Anthony, I'm not up on my soaps. Then there's Donald. Donald loves LSU and Saints football. Being from Louisiana, and a lifelong Saints fan, we always have something to talk about. Then there's Belinda. Although she often fades in and out of cognition, she's the kindest person I've ever met. She always asks me about my day, and tells me that I need to relax more and enjoy life, which really is good advice. Finally, there's Teresa. Teresa has a dissociative disorder, and normally hates everyone and everything. She wears red every day of the year and often curses. and she always seemed pretty sour. After 3 months of talking to her every day, with absolutely no response beyond go away, one day she just started talking to me and hasn't stopped since. So what's the point in all this? Well, I went from being the self-involved Tulane student, existing within the Tulane and New Orleans bubble, and worrying more about classes and enjoying New Orleans, seamlessly, to helping out in what has been one of the most difficult but rewarding community service ventures I have ever encountered. My time at the Arc has taught me that as a Tulane student, you can venture out of the college lifestyle, help in the community, and be rewarded with lots of new friends. So if you have some free time, need some public service hours, or are looking for a great service learning opportunity, I would wholeheartedly recommend the Arc of Greater New Orleans.